Peppa Pig, the Stranger in the Rain. Since early morning, the sky had been covered with clouds. Light rain tapped on the roof, and the whole house was filled with the smell of tea and the sound of dripping. Peppa stared out the window. "When can we go out?" she sighed. "It's better to stay inside today," said Mummy Pig. "The playground is all muddy." "But I don't want to stay inside all day," Peppa complained, spinning in place. By evening, the rain had eased. Mummy still said no, but Daddy Pig added, "If you wear your boots, you can walk around the yard, but don't go past the fence." Peppa and George put on their rain boots and stepped outside. The air smelled like wet earth and leaves. Birds were silent. The wind came from the forest. It was cold. They walked along the path, and Peppa immediately jumped into a puddle. "Splash, splash," she shouted. George giggled. "Splash," he echoed, but after a few steps, Peppa stopped. "George, do you see that?" Near the old shed at the edge of the property, someone was standing. A tall figure in black. A hood hid their face. They stood very still. "Maybe it's Daddy," George asked quietly. "Daddy doesn't wear a black coat," Peppa whispered. The figure didn't move, didn't flinch. Peppa took a step forward, but George grabbed her hand. "Don't," he whispered. They hurried back home. Mummy was at the door. "Where were you?" "We saw someone near the shed," Peppa said. "That must have been a shadow," Mummy replied. "Daddy came out with a cup of tea." "There's no shed behind our yard," he said. Peppa frowned. "But we saw it. And the person—" That night, Peppa woke up. A noise. Rain was tapping the window again. She listened. Step. Pause. Step. Slow. Heavy. She approached the window. The same figure was standing by the gate, a bit closer than during the day. Silent. Soaked. Their face was still hidden by the hood. Peppa closed the curtain and hid under the blanket. In the morning, she was the first to wake. There was a piece of paper on the doorstep. On it, in crooked writing, it said, "You came too close." Mummy said it was probably a prank. Daddy insisted there had been nothing. That day, they didn't leave the house. No one mentioned going for a walk. Peppa stopped going near the window, but every evening she still heard step, pause, step. Sometimes it seemed like the figure was no longer at the gate, sometimes closer, sometimes already inside. And one morning, Peppa found a new note. Only one word. Soon. She didn't scream. She couldn't. The air felt thick, like the room was underwater. She slid back, pulling her legs up onto the bed, staring at the floor. Another footprint, closer now. Then she heard it, a breath, slow. Behind her, Peppa turned her head just a little. The curtain moved. Something was there, watching. Her hands trembled. She reached for her lamp. Click. Nothing. The room stayed dark. The breathing stopped. Then from the doorway, a soft voice. "Too late." Peppa froze. She felt the bed trembling. Or maybe it was just her legs. The doorway was empty, but the voice still echoed in her head. Quiet. Slow. As if it was inside her. She got off the bed and stepped into the hallway. The house was dark. Only the kitchen window cast a faint shimmer on the floor. "Mummy," Peppa whispered. "Daddy?" No one answered. On the floor, wet footprints. The same ones from her room. But they didn't lead outside. They went deeper. Toward the basement. The basement door was usually locked, but now it stood ajar. Just enough for her to notice. Peppa stepped closer. Cold air drifted up from the dark. From below came a faint, rustling sound. She stepped down. One creak, then another. The darkness was almost complete. Somewhere below, a faint glow, like a flashlight left on the floor. And near it, something else. A shape. Someone's shoulders. A hood. "You came on your own," the voice said, and the light went out.